Hi guys, this is Abby. Welcome back to the channel of NVN Motorworks. Today I'm going to completely change the subject. I'm not going to show you what good PPF is. I'm actually going to show you what bad PPF is and what to look out for. There is a lot of PPF on the market, especially here in Dubai. The prices range from right down here to right up there, but a lot of people do tend to not realise that there's also a massive range in quality, not only with the film, but also the actual installation itself. So take this beautiful Cullinan. From the camera it probably looks lovely, shiny, perfect, right? Unfortunately, it's not anywhere close to the truth. I have had permission from the owner of the car to show you what a far from good PPF looks like. So if you just come up closely, I'll point out a few things to you. So there's lots of things to look out for when looking at the quality of a good PPF, and they're things that, like I mentioned, are not necessarily obvious if you're looking at the car from a few meters away and you don't know what you're looking for. So I really want to be able to educate people of the difference between a good job and a bad job, because you really want to be able to come, have PPF on your car, come back for the 1 month checkup, and then after that you don't want to have any issues. Unfortunately, what is the case on a very substandard job is that you'll end up having, maybe some damage to the car during the installation. Maybe some parts will be removed without your permission, and then actually the installation of the job as well. So a lot of people inquire and speak to me about, wanting to use a certain film or being bothered about how thick the film is. Actually, a lot of these things are not the most important thing about the film. Of course, in terms of thickness of the film, you don't want to be too thin because it's not going to protect against anything. You don't want to be too thick because there's absolutely no way you can work on curvature of a car without doing a messy installation. So you'll be looking at, the curves and the edges of the car and making sure that there's no stretching, which is also down to not only the quality of the film, but also the installer as well. So also as well, you need to make sure that the film is going to last as long as someone says it's going to last. The film that we're using has a 10-year warranty, but there's also a lot of films on the market that people insist, yeah, this film's going to last, yeah, it's fine to remove it after a certain period of time, but that's also not the only factor in it. It's again how it's installed, and it's also again if it's removed later that it's removed by a professional. If you try and just pull this film off yourself, maybe you're going to damage the paint, and sometimes you're doing irreparable damage depending on the car. So there's so many clients that I've had that I've maybe lost the business to due to the cost. We're just that little bit more expensive always than the next place, I can tell you that. But then what's happened is people will go somewhere else, get the job done, and then to be honest with you, I can't count on, if I had 10 hands, I couldn't count of how many people came back, and we ended up doing the job and they paid again, just because the finish was not how they expected it to be. I even had one car once, it was a 488, and the guy actually got the car done with PPF elsewhere because they were convinced by, I think, a salesman that they had known for a while. And he came to removing the PPF and I said, okay, but I have to remove the door handles and I think it was the wing mirrors because they've removed them to do the installation. So to remove that PPF, I have to do that. He said, no, my driver watched it all, they removed it and they didn't remove any parts. But we can tell it's been removed because there was not a seam, which means there's no physical way to get the PPF on without removing that wing mirror. So the proof isn't there unless it's in the pudding, so why don't you come a little bit closer and I will show you what I mean. So let us just start by saying I'm showing you a Cullinan today, and Cullinans came out, 2 years ago, something like this? I think the first ones were on the road. So that means, yes, this PPF is in bad condition, but one could argue, oh, it's been on for years and years and years. It has not. It can only have been something like 2 years, and you can see just how terrible this PPF has gone. So first of all, probably the most obvious part to a camera is going to be this chrome here. You see how it's gone completely dusty looking and awful looking. And by the way, this car has been washed, and also this car is going to have this PPF removed. And I'll show you down here as well. So this would be nice shiny chrome, but it is far from it. And another telltale sign of a not very good PPF is you can see this PPF is peeling off here, and it's such bad quality I can quite literally rip it off with my hand. That should not be the case. And you can also see yellow. When people have PPF that goes yellow very, very quickly, it will actually discolor from the inside due for the glue and the gel that people use to apply the PPF. Obviously from the environment, if you leave the car in bad condition, it might yellow a little bit from the outside, but it should be so minimal that you don't notice when you change, say you need to change a door after it's dented or something like this and the PPF couldn't be saved. You should be able to do that 5 years down the line or whenever down the line from having your PPF without seeing a difference of this panel looking brand new compared to this panel, you know? So you see this? It's absolutely laughable because you cannot tell me not one person in their right mind will put something like this on their car knowing that it's going to go like this. This is a small piece of PPF I just removed off the Cullinan, and this is a new piece of PPF that we're using. Now don't get me wrong, I know it's not necessarily a fair comparison because you know this is just brand new and this one's been on a car for at least a couple of years, but honestly, no PPF should ever go like this. Like, this is just beyond terrible. Like, I'm sure if I do this, how does it look? Terrible, right? So this is Bernard, he's one of our PPF guys. Just Bernard's gonna show you over here. And what Bernard's gonna do is seal this piece of PPF on so you can kind of get an immediate idea. Like I said, not necessarily a fair experiment, but the PPF we're using is built to last and stay in this condition. So already you can see a huge difference. I know this isn't the finished product, but hopefully you have the idea that the left side is terrible and the right hand side is a little bit more like what you want for long lasting, obviously once it's dried out. So back to the Cullinan, what we're actually going to do with this car is remove the PPF, and trust me, you're going to see a huge difference once we're done with it. Welcome back! So it is the same car, but different day. Actually, it's quite a few days later because, to be honest with you, this PPF, this terrible PPF, has been an absolute nightmare to remove. The poor guys have spent ages removing it. So when you remove the PPF of this kind of quality, there's loads of awful glue all over the car. And the problem is with that is you have to use a special chemical to remove that glue. You can't be scraping it how you might remove glue off of a sticker or something on your wall at home, because remember, you're going to scratch all over the paint. So the poor guys have had an absolute terrible time trying to remove this, but hopefully now you can see the benefits. The PPF is no longer clouding the car. You can see it shining in its complete glory, just how it would if a PPF from us went on the car. It would keep shining like this and keep it in its best possible condition. So that's it for another week. It is my absolute pleasure as always to be able to share with you the journeys of these kind of vehicles that we're lucky enough to work on. Please do tell us what you'd like to see on continuing weeks. Remember to like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye!